You're an undercover cop who loses yourself in the role. You've been a cop for 8 years when they ask you to disappear. Not literally, not witness protection, not a transfer. They want you to walk into a criminal organization called the Vega Network, become someone else entirely, and stay there until you've collected enough evidence to put 30 people in federal prison. The assignment has a code name. You have a new name. You have a backstory, a fake record, a handler named Reyes, who you'll contact through a dead drop every 72 hours. You have a cover identity so detailed it includes a childhood in Albuquerque you've never visited and a sister who doesn't exist. What you don't have is a timeline. They say 6 months, maybe 8, however long it takes. You say yes because you're good at reading people and bad at sitting still, and because the alternative is another 3 years working narcotics in a city that's already decided your furniture. You say yes because you want to matter. You've been a cop long enough to know that most of the job is paperwork and court appearances and watching prosecutors plea bargain cases you worked for 18 months down to nothing. This is different. This is real. Your name is now Danny Reyes, no relation to your handler. That's a coincidence nobody planned and everybody pretends not to notice. Danny grew up hard, did 2 years in a juvenile facility for aggravated assault, has a sealed record and a short temper, and exactly the kind of quiet menace that attracts the attention of people who need someone they can trust because he has nothing left to lose. You've been practicing Danny for 4 weeks. His walk, the way he holds eye contact a beat too long, the specific economy of someone who learned early that words cost something. The first meeting happens in a parking garage in Phoenix. A mid-level Vega associate named Cortez looks you over like you're a car he's thinking about buying. He doesn't say much, neither does Danny. Danny doesn't explain himself. Danny doesn't try to impress anyone. Danny just exists in the space with a stillness that says he's been in rooms like this before and walked out of all of them. Cortez calls back 3 days later. You're in. The first month is observation. You run small errands, pick up packages, drive people to meetings, and wait outside in the car. You're being tested and you know it, and Danny knows it too. And the difference between you and Danny is starting to blur in ways you tell yourself are professional. You're not becoming him, you're performing him. There's a difference. You repeat this to yourself on the drive back to the apartment they've set you up in, the one that smells like the previous tenant and has a burner phone taped under the bathroom sink for emergencies. Your handler Reyes asks you in week 3 how you're holding up. You tell him fine. He asks if you need anything. You say no. He reminds you of the extraction protocol. 3 words in the dead drop and they pull you out within 6 hours. He says it like he's reading off a checklist. You say you don't need the reminder. He says everyone needs the reminder. You stop thinking about the extraction protocol by week 6. By month 2, you're sitting at the table, not at the edges, not waiting in cars. Cortez has introduced you to a man named Vega himself, which wasn't supposed to happen this fast, which means the intelligence your department had on the organization's structure was wrong, which means you're deeper inside faster than anyone planned for. You contact Reyes. He tells you to stay put. He says this is good. He says document everything. You document everything. You also have dinner with Vega 3 times in 2 weeks because Vega likes you, and Vega is the kind of man who decides he likes someone and then makes that person part of his life immediately and completely. He's 54 years old. He has a daughter at USC studying architecture. He asks about your fake sister in Albuquerque. You tell him she's doing better. He nods like he knows what that means. The problem with Vega is that he's not what you expected. You expected a caricature. Every criminal you've ever arrested was legible, obvious. The gap between what they were and what they pretended to be was always visible if you looked. Vega has no gap. He's the same person in every room, calm, precise, funny in a way that doesn't ask for approval. He's the kind of man you would have respected if you'd met him anywhere else. You put this in your report. Reyes tells you to keep your perspective clean. Your perspective has never been dirtier. Month 4. You've been present for 3 drug transactions totaling $11 million. You've documented names, locations, shipping routes, the accountant who moves money through a restaurant supply company in Scottsdale. You have enough for a solid case already. You tell Reyes this. He says they want the top of the network, not the middle. He says stay in. You stay in. This is the month you stop going to the gym at 5 in the morning, which is something you've done every day for 6 years. Danny doesn't go to the gym at 5 in the morning. Danny sleeps late and drinks coffee and reads the news on his phone with the specific disinterest of someone who doesn't believe institutions work. You start sleeping late. You start drinking coffee black when you've always taken it with sugar because Danny takes it black. You start reading the news with a feeling that is not quite disinterest, but is close enough that the difference stops mattering. You call your actual sister on a Thursday. She asks how the new job is going. You've told her you're doing private security consulting, which is close enough to true that it doesn't feel like a lie most days. She asks when you're coming home for the holidays. You say you're not sure. She hears something in your voice and asks if you're okay. You tell her Danny is fine. You catch yourself. You say you're fine. She laughs and says you sound tired. You are tired. You are so tired you can't remember what rested feels like. That night, Cortez takes you to a bar and introduces you to people you won't remember in the morning. Someone calls you Danny all night, and not once does it feel like the wrong name. Month 6. You've missed 4 dead drops, not because you're compromised, because Danny doesn't keep appointments with federal handlers, because the discipline that made you good at your job is the same discipline that Danny would never have, and you've been living as Danny so completely that his rhythms have replaced yours without you noticing the replacement. Reyes makes contact directly. He's angry in the specific controlled way of someone who is frightened. He asks what's happening. You tell him you've been busy. He asks busy doing what? You tell him you've been working. He says you're not there to work. You're there to observe and document. You say sometimes the line between those things disappears. He goes quiet for a long time. Then he asks you the extraction question, not the protocol. The actual question. He asks if you want to come out. You think about Vega's daughter at USC studying architecture. You think about the accountant in Scottsdale who has 2 kids and coaches Little League and moves $11 million in drug money through a restaurant supply company with the same calm professionalism he probably applies to everything else in his life. You think about Cortez, who you have genuinely started to like, which is the most dangerous thing that's happened since you walked into that parking garage. You tell Reyes you're close. You need more time. He says they're giving you 60 more days. You already know 60 days isn't going to fix anything. The thing nobody tells you about undercover work is that identity isn't a jacket you put on and take off. It's closer to a language. You can learn a second language as an adult, speak it fluently, dream in it sometimes, and still know it's not the one you were born into. But if you speak only that second language for long enough, the first one starts to go quiet. Vocabulary you never thought you'd lose just stops being available. You reach for it and find static. Danny has been speaking for 7 months. Your first language is getting quiet. You're in a meeting with Vega and 4 of his people